Boy.
Hi, Molly Gebler.
Hi, Alex Gertzberg.
How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Fantastic. Are you having a good day today?
I had a great day today.
Did you?
Yeah, great weekend.
Was it a good weekend?
I went to the
out.
Winner out in Sharon, PA.
The Winner
is a dress shop.
Right.
Gowns.
Mention this.
Levels. It was overwhelming, but I went by myself. It was a lovely day on Saturday.
Good.
And I found 3 dresses, which I then brought home to my girls, who decided on the final. So now I have to go back actually I'm going back tomorrow morning to return them. And
to Sharon, PA?
It's 45 minutes.
I guess that's not bad.
Yeah, not bad. So it was a lovely. But then as I was driving home, I was talking to my daughter on the phone, and all of a sudden I heard something in my ear, and then something bit me.
No.
And I had to pull over. The pain was so excruciating. And then, of course, you just start flailing, so I couldn't find what it was. Eventually, I found it. It was like, I don't know, I'll show you a picture. It was some disgusting bug. I think I'm going to grow wings.
That sounds awful.
It was awful. It was painful, and it hurt so bad, and my ear blew up like a cauliflower, and but all is well.
Jeez.
All is good.
Calm down with your mosquitoes in Sharon, PA.
I'm going to live. And then I started binging on a show.
Which one?
It's called Good Girls Revolt.
Oh, I keep seeing that come up.
Really good.
Is it?
It's about the Newsweek magazine. I guess back in the day they weren't hiring women.
Huh.
And it was, kind of late 60s, early 70s. It's very, very good. A little racy.
Well, I can't watch that.
That is true. But it's really good. It's really good. So how was your weekend? How was your
man,
Monday?
it was fantastic.
Yeah, what'd you do?
You know what happened this weekend, Molly? The hog came out.
Oh, the bike.
The bike came out.
The Harley hog.
Oh my goodness!
I thought maybe you ate a lot.
It was, well, that too. No, the hog was unleashed. The Harley V-Rod. Man, it was like a bat out of hell.
Oh,
dude, it was so good. I didn't want to come home, I'll be honest with you. I just wanted to keep riding.
Where'd you go?
I went to Kent one day, and then, I don't know, I went to Manaway. You know where Manaway is?
Yeah, I do.
You know that they don't like it when you pronounce it Mantua, which is the way. But I don't think there's a sign there that says it was named after the city in Italy. But I don't think they call it Manaway in Italy.
In Italy?
I think they call it Mantua.
I'm not quite sure you want to mess with. I think you just want to call it what they say it is.
I didn't stop my bike. I kept on riding. I don't know how they feel about Jews in Manaway, to be honest with you. So I just kept riding. Much less, but I don't know. I think that Jews on Harleys get a pass.
Do they?
I don't know.
And do you guys all do the wave?
The wave? Oh yeah.
And is that just Harley people?
No.
Okay.
Now, some purists would argue that you shouldn't do the wave when passing a scooter.
Do you pass many scooters?
Well, sure.
Yeah.
But I'm an equal opportunity waver, Molly. Hey, before we go much farther, let's talk about our guest.
Oh yes, John Gadd.
Yeah, this is
a badass.
He's a badass, right? President and CEO of HotCards.com, which is a printing company, but not just any printing company, right? They do really creative, crazy stuff with their cards, right? They set themselves on fire, for example. They counted and determined that they have printed over 10 billion square inches of paper in 1 year, which is an odd statistic to know about yourself, but there it is.
Wonder how you
quantify. I don't know, but it's a hugely successful printing company located where? Is it right here?
It's downtown Cleveland.
Downtown Cleveland.
Yes.
Founder and president of Red Space, which is an event space and art gallery. What were you saying about them? They do crazy things with this space?
The space, it's open. Well, they have a art gallery in their hallway.
Yeah.
And then the space is just an empty space, huge pillars. Like we went to a wedding expo.
Yeah.
There, you can rent it out for weddings. It's a beautiful space. And I think he was instrumental in creating. I mean, the space was there, but making it rentable.
Donut Fest was there. Sweat and Feast was there. Weddings, Machine Gun Kelly and Carlos Jones concert were there. A mac and cheese throwdown. We'll have to ask him.
Need to know.
I'm curious about that. And the Daily Show hosted the convention sideshow during the Republican National Convention out of that space. Founder and president of the Gadd Corporation, which is strategic counsel to C-level executives at internet graphic arts and marketing companies. Lots of board memberships. Co-chair of the Republican Party of Cuyahoga County Advisory Council.
He's on the Shrin Documentary Film Festival board.
He's a busy cat.
Yes.
I want to ask him about this whole setting yourself on fire thing.
So he's from Chagrin Falls, graduated from Chagrin Falls.
Where, by the way, he had 3 years of perfect attendance in middle school.
I wish we had some kind of award. I wish I would have brought an award for him. And he worked with Ted Batchelor, who lights himself on fire, jumps the falls. He holds the record for lighting himself on fire. So I believe it was when they opened up in 2012, when they opened up Hot Cards. It was a way to get out. It's marketing. He's brilliant in marketing. Yeah. So he tried to break a record with the burning. I mean, I love the fact that he likes the theatrics, and he calls it loopy marketing ideas, because that is how you get the exposure. Yeah. Everybody does the same thing. It's that person that, lights himself on fire that gets a little bit more media attention than the rest.
Right. Yeah. All right. So we've got a good
military
guest.
School.
Yes. And a meditator.
Lots
to talk about.
You're going to like that. You're going to want to talk to him about that, aren't you?
Yeah, a little bit. All right, so enough about John Gadd. We'll let John Gadd talk about that.
And he's easy on the eyes.
Is that right?
Yes.
Interesting.
All our listeners will see the picture on Tuesday. Next Tuesday, yes?
He's easy on your eyes.
Oh, he's easy on probably a few eyes. Yeah. Yeah, we'll ask, and let's talk a little bit about. I don't think we got a report yet on our subscribers this week or last week, Nellie.
You're right, we have.
So I'm interested to see, after my request, my plea to my Facebook friends. I'm interested to see how many subscribers we have now. So we'll get a little report, I hope. But if you have yet to subscribe.
The Best.Podcast.Ever.com is where you want to go, and then you click subscribe there. Or do we want them to click on the iTunes subscribe or the Stitcher subscribe? Definitely on Facebook.
Yes, our Facebook.
Yeah, go there and like, and then go to the Best.Podcast.Ever.com and click subscribe there, and that ensures that you get in your email box and by Facebook, because I know you can't get enough of O'Malley. I think that's John walking in.
And it's one email a week. That's all you're getting.
Yeah, it's John right
there. Gadd's in the house.
What's up, John Gadd?
Hello.
Hey, how are you? Make yourself at home.
All right.
We were just talking about you.
Unfortunately for you. Okay.
Yeah.
You guys sorry about all that.
We're pumped and excited.
We're getting ready to vomit questions all over you.
Okay.
There's so much there.
Right, good.
What do you want to drink? We've got.
I'm just a water guy. I'm a water guy.
We
Seriously.
do have that.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
We knew that about you, actually.
Appreciate it.
I did tell him. I did tell him. So you good?
Yeah. How about you?
Thanks for carving out. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Thanks for carving out an hour of.
I'm excited.
Sitting and shooting the shit.
Sugar Falls.
Yeah.
What else would I rather be doing? I love sitting and shooting the shit in Sugar Falls.
Well, I love
really
your kitchen comment.
Which
how
one
is
is
your
that?
kitchen? How Chagrin is your kitchen?
Oh yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
I love that.
Exactly.
And now that we're empty nesters, I've learned to appreciate that totally.
Oh, it's a beautiful. The Heinen's opening up. How awesome is that?
It's gonna be mine.
I'm so excited.
Seats 40 or 50.
That's what I heard. Yeah. Oh, they're going to do a great business.
And just the
They're
fact
gonna do
of
great
being able to
business.
run there for lunch, I'm excited about.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah,
Because
awesome. Thanks, Alex.
You're welcome.
Is this your law firm, Alex?
It is.
Oh, nice. Okay,
Yeah.
good, awesome.
Yeah.
I
So-
thought, Gertzberg, I thought I'd heard that name.
Yeah.
well, he's doing the essay contest. If you've received any emails about the essay contest that we're doing.
Essay contest?
You'll be leaving here with some paraphernalia
Yeah.
about the essay contest, John, because
Yes.
we need judges and sponsors.
Yes.
Okay,
So,
all right.
Yes.
You can tell a little bit about it.
I can?
Sure.
Okay.
Go ahead, Alex.
Well, so this essay contest, it's called We Solve Problems, and we started it last year, and it is an effort for business owners to teach high school students how to solve problems and sell the solutions and communicate the solutions to those problems at the same time. So we've raised, we're getting on $10,000 now, and we're giving it all away to the students and the schools who have the best essays. The essays, basically, the students have to solve in one page, 600 words or less.
Okay.
This year it's the problem of texting and driving.
Big problem.
Last year we did
Autonomous cars.
cyberbullying.
Right. You might have just solved
Cyberbullying
the
was
problem.
last year.
Yeah.
And we had 800 submissions, yes.
Yeah, 750 last year.
Raised
No kidding.
$10,000
Yeah.
and gave it all back.
Wow.
Yeah.
And this last year was Kenston and Chagrin. This year it's all the chamber, because the chamber partners with it. All the 4 districts, so Newberry, Kenston, Chagrin, and Orange.
Awesome.
So we need judges.
Yeah, lots of essays to read.
Yeah.
But you had 750?
We did.
Last
Wow.
year.
Yeah,
So
amongst
600,
each-
does that fit on one page?
600 words is one single spaced page.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's actually about 3/4 of a single spaced
All
page.
right. Perfect.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, it's cool. It's cool. And we have this big reception at the end where we give away all the money and we give presentations and
Where'd you do the reception last year?
Village Hall, Township Hall.
Perfect.
Township Hall? Is that what it is?
Yeah, we have computers to give this year.
Yes.
Toshiba donated 4 computers for the
That's
winners,
awesome.
and some other big ones that we can't announce yet.
Well, yeah, no, by the time this comes out, it'll all be out, right? So First
Okay.
Energy donated $2,500, and Pioneer Water Park donated a free ticket to everyone who submits an essay.
Wow.
And then Motor Cars, Honda, and Toyota gave $1,000, and all of these businesses really took an
Federal
interest.
gave
First Federal, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty
Super
cool.
That's
It's
awesome.
growing.
It
It's
took
growing.
off. Yeah.
Yeah.
And this was your brainchild?
Well, when I hear
say
me and brain and child, the child part I can. But
But we have Len Komorowski from the Cavs.
Oh, yeah.
He's one of
Yeah.
our final judges. Jeff Hoffman, Priceline.com
Yeah,
guy.
sure,
He's our
yeah.
final judge.
Ball's going out, right?
Yeah. So it's growing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's getting.
Jeff lives in Chagrin, right?
He maybe.
Okay. Yeah.
You probably, yeah.
For sure.
All right, let's talk about this podcast,
Yeah.
which
let's
is
go.
the
Is he on?
yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
perfect.
Coming in okay?
yeah, probably.
Yeah, so where his breasts are?
Why not? Yeah,
Right.
right,
Is Mike
right
where his
between my breasts.
That's the
Yeah.
sweet spot.
That's the sweet
In more
spot.
ways than one. The sweet
breasts.
spot is where the
Right.
bra goes.
Oh.
Yeah. So we just got done telling the world about you, John.
Mm-hmm.
So everybody knows all about you. And yeah, and it's fascinating, man. You've got a really dense. How old are you?
30.
Jesus, man.
Getting old, I know. Dirty 30, right?
You make me feel
Oh my
lazy.
gosh, I
Terrible.
take 30 in a heartbeat.
I know about
Well, you know what we both have in common is that we were both a 40 under 40.
Oh, there. Not as awesome.
But you were a 40 way under 40.
I'm out of the running. Like I got in like 12 years now. I got to watch this event happen and not be able to
Right.
be under 40.
Well, there's other ones that Cranes does that you can still do.
Yeah,
but
80,
not-
8 under 80. I could do that one.
There's-
8 under 80.
I was 40 under 40 when I was 37 though. You must have been 40 under 40 when you were 27.
Well,
Yeah, I guess I was 20. I think I was 28.
Okay.
I didn't keep track. But
Yeah. Yeah, you got quite a
I fooled
resume,
them.
dude.
I fooled them.
what does that feel like when you get that call that that your award. I mean, that's a crazy.
Well, I would hope all the money I paid them to give me the award, I would have gotten a call. So it wasn't a surprise.
Paid
I can tell you that.
advertising.
Yeah, exactly.
God, yeah.
No, it was right after we had done the burn, or somewhat. So part of the story, I'm sure we can talk a little about it. It's this event, which obviously has a lot of Sugar and Falls ties to it. But we did this burn where we lit 21 people on fire, and it just got so much press. It was insane. Everybody was talking about hot cards, and just that was a huge part of it. So everybody wanted to do an article. One thing led to another, and and then here we go. We do 40 under 40. So because most of my career up until hot cards has been very much under the radar, very B2B in a very niche industry. Like my first business, I'd raised $5 million at 22, and we had offices in India and Chicago and 60 employees, but it was all very niche business to business. And it'd be like, I have a company that sold, the one really special component to the back of TVs or something. Like nobody gets excited about that. So it was always under the radar. But then hot cards is a very, public, consumer-oriented business. We're very involved in the community in many, many ways. And so that, began to raise a lot of attention.
So let's structure it this way, okay?
I know, I went off structure.
No,
Are we on?
No.
Is this it?
Oh, we're on.
Oh, this is it. Oh,
We're
okay.
live.
Oh, got it. Okay.
One of our
My mom listening? The
Yes, I
one
called
caller
her.
that's logged in is my mom.
I called her.
Mrs. Gadd, please like us on Facebook. So we were thinking the way to do this, right? Because we've got a ton of questions, and I want to spend a lot of time talking about just where that creativity comes from, right? And results, right? Like a lot of the folks listening at home are going to be business owners, right? And so connecting that creativity to sales, right? I want to talk about that, but let's put all that aside. We're going to talk a lot about hot cards in a bit.
Can we put on our list that I would love to ask him how we can creatively launch his podcast in a very cool, creative way?
Oh my God. You know what that is? You know what that's called? Leveraging.
Yeah.
Leveraging our guests.
He's
I love
here.
it.
Let's use him.
All right.
On the spot. Okay,
Let's
guys.
burn something. If we need to burn
I
something,
love
let's
it.
burn something.
I love this plan.
Yeah.
All right. So, but before we get to hot cards and all of that stuff, let's go chronologically, right?
Sure.
So, a little birdie flew through here earlier and said, John Gadd had a perfect attendance record in middle school.
True story. True
Yeah.
story.
So,
Yeah, I hated makeup work. Hated it.
Yeah.
With a passion. Still do. So I just always made sure I was at school, no matter what. Never had to do a day of makeup.
I would bet that's a key factor to his success, because I'm going to assume that then when you get an email or a task, you do it right then and there.
Yeah, I always say, when's the best time to do something? Now. So I try to, which is how I missed the email confirming or didn't confirming. Was a big surprise, but I've been having iPhone issues that somehow it's to mark my emails as read even though they're not read. But yeah, that's when's the best time to do something now?
So there's something I'm guessing, right? If I can put my my hat on, I'm searching for that kind of therapist that like deconstructs your psyche, right? My Freudian hat on,
You
right?
would know
But
what
that's
kind
not
of
it.
therapist
It's
that
like
is.
whatever kind of therapist that is.
We can call my therapist. Do you want to call?
No, that's all right.
Yes. Hell yes.
He will be on next week.
Yeah.
No,
Given the real story.
So what's happening in John Gadd's childhood to make him have that kind of work ethic and make him not want to miss a day of school for 3 years in middle school?
Good question. So my mom was. I give a lot of credit to my mom.
You just answered a question that
There
Molly
you
was going to
go.
ask later. Go ahead.
So
I'm sorry.
my mom was a single mother. My father was never part of the equation from day one, and she was an entrepreneur as well. She had a headhunting firm, a recruiting firm, and was a lifelong entrepreneur. And one of the things I credit a lot of things to my mom, but one of the biggest things is positivity. First of all, I mean, no matter what was going on in her life, she always found a way to stay positive and upbeat and to turn challenges into opportunities to grow. Like that was something she always said to me growing up was, all these things coming at you. Every time you get a problem, if you just look at it in a different way, as you look at it as an opportunity to grow, then problems are a great thing. You know, if you like growing, which I want to grow, as a kid I want to grow, I just want to be 50, you know what I mean? As a kid, you always want to grow. And so that was a big part of it, but I always really just respected her work ethic, and you know, she put in and she raised, you know, us children as a single mother, and worked really hard to do that, and gave us a great life.
Let me ask a parenting question then, right along those lines, because this is a challenge that I have. I got 3 kids. You got kids?
No kids.
Did you internalize that sense of positivity from watching your mom be positive, and if so, or from hearing her instruct you on how to be positive, or both?
Yeah.
And what are some examples?
Right, I get what you're saying. Definitely both.
Okay.
But I think the former is the most important, watching her. So my mom went through a lot of challenges. I mean, a lot of challenges everybody goes through, but I think even some that were above and beyond what, you know, maybe your average single, you know, mother goes through. And I saw her maintain that positivity all the time. And it's funny because a lot of the things that didn't seem like problems to me growing up, that didn't, you know, maybe the car, you know, the family had at the time, or other financial issues, or these, I didn't notice them as issues because she did such a great job of hiding them, really, of just kind of, again, keeping up that attitude. And looking back on it in life, I can look back now, and it's funny because as I look back, as I've gotten older, I respect her more and more, because I actually see all these things that we went through. Now as an adult, I can actually put one and one, you know, two and two together. And so that is the biggest. But, you know, she had a lot of saying, a lot of momisms, as I call. You know, she always had all these little sayings, and she was vigilant about them. Like, and a lot of things in life she was really vigilant about. Even about how we used our, you know, our grammar and other things. She just still to this day doesn't let up on them. You know, I mean, 30 years later, she still, if she catches me saying, you know, the wrong conjugation of a verb or something like that, she nails me, you know?
I love that.
It's awesome. But that, yeah, she was consistent about it. She was consistent about the positivity. There was no chink in that armor.
I heard somebody say the other day that it was his daughter saying to him, "Dad, I like it more when you're," oh, how was it? When you're being a Buddhist rather than talking Buddhism, right? Or something like, oh no, that's right. When you're being a Buddha rather than being a Buddhist, that's what it was. And the point was, lead by example, right? When you're in your parenting,
yeah,
right? Yeah. And that's why I ask, because my struggle is I can control, you know, with my kids, I can control, you know, what I say and my behavior and try to lead by example, but it's keeping my mouth shut long enough to let them make their own mistakes and just learn from me and from my example as opposed to my instruction. That I think is more powerful. But it sounds like you're getting instruction in both ways from your mom, right?
Sure. Yeah, and I think to most people it's easy to talk the talk, obviously. So walking the walk is always the challenge. You know, in my business, a big facet of what I focus on is culture. And, you know, I always say every business has a culture, good or bad. Every business has a culture. And it's either one that you neglect or it's one that you nurture. And so we really try to nurture a culture at Hot Cards that's based on what we call 18 core behaviors. The number one behavior is, we call it smiling as a rule, which is all about positivity. It's all about keeping a positive attitude, and, you know, 17 other behaviors. Well, it is absolutely imperative that I walk that talk every day, that I do not compromise on those behaviors, because as soon as I do, I can be perfect 99% of the time, but as soon as I let my guard down and I slip on one of those behaviors one time, then it gives everybody an opening to be able to, you know, slip as well. So it's a really challenging thing. That's why it's actually a lot more challenging to develop and maintain a culture like that than it is just to let it go. I refuse to work in a negative work environment. I refuse to just show up at an office every day with people who don't espouse our 18 core behaviors. So that's why I would rather put the energy into creating a great culture and maintaining a great culture. But it's a lot harder to do that than it is to just let it be run riot and have people act however they want to act, their primordial instincts, which is not positivity, which is not, hard work and all these other things that are really important to us at Hot Cards.
Right.
During your interview of some of your staff, can you tell right away, or have you been fooled with that smile, and then a week later, that's the one bitching outside to other staff, or I would think that it's easy for that first initial interview to be super happy. It's a week or a month down the road, are they, then they expose who they really are.
We definitely, look, we can all get fooled, but I think it always comes back on me. And there's a multitude of reasons that you can let the wrong person in your organization. One, I love the saying, hire slowly, fire quickly. So the idea of spend the right amount of time up front finding the right person versus making a very, gut reaction and not doing your homework or just getting the first person in the door because you need to fill a seat. And then the fire quickly part is that, once it's clear somebody's not a culture fit, you got to move quickly. Don't let that fester. But, either I hired too quickly or didn't check references. And that's why I love when some people don't think you should hire friends of friends and things. I actually love, if there's somebody I really respect in my organization, I want their friends to work here because, first of all, they're probably hanging around great people. And secondly, they're not going to let somebody in and compromise their reputation and job if they don't think, and they have a whole lifetime of experience with this person. So I'm a big believer in hiring the friends of people who are superstars in our business, and that's worked out really, really well.
That is true, because when you recommend somebody, it's embarrassing when that person turns out to not be, because you're the one that recommended it. You're the one that, that's embarrassing. You're like, crap, you weren't, that's not you, and now you look like an ass.
Right.
Yeah.
What are the 18 core behaviors?
Put that one on mute.
as you try to remember them all.
Yeah. Do you want me to read them down the list?
How about your top three? How about your top three favorites?
Look, so and I should be able to recite them all right off the top of my head. It's funny. There's one of our team members who's like unbelievable and has them all memorized like down to a T. But for sure, smiling as a rule is my number one top core behavior. And then living life in the gray is another big one. It's another momism. My mom was always really staunch about the fact that life is never going to be black and white.
Yeah, don't look for certainty.
You can't. Right. And as an entrepreneur, that's an imperative skill. And if you can't get comfortable living in the gray as an entrepreneur, you're going to be in really, really big trouble. And that, for us is something that, we work really, really hard to instill in each of our team members. And that's fine. We have a very entrepreneurial culture at Hot Cards, and asking the team to act as entrepreneurs is a very challenging thing sometimes. But again, we have we've really worked hard to find the right people that fit that. And then just do it is the next one. That kind of goes by when's the right time to do it now. But oftentimes in life we need to do things. We need to do what we should, not what we feel like.
Right. And
overcoming that mental block on a daily basis is a really tough thing for some people. And so our mentality, just do it. Doesn't matter what it is, just do it. Get it out of the way, get it behind you, keep moving. Don't waste a lot of time. That just do it philosophy is something that we, we have a very high volume business too. So it's a lot of stuff coming at us all the time. A lot of deadlines. Exactly. And if you delay on that kind of stuff or you let it build up, it can get really, really messy to unravel.
So maybe John Gadd would be kind enough to get us those 18, because I am sure that people are going to want to see if that's...
Is that for public consumption?
Public.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, awesome. I've got a presentation, actually it's on my LinkedIn profile, that goes over each of the 18. I can get you guys that.
Nice.
That would be wonderful. That would be great.
So, between middle school and the 18 core behaviors, right, are events happening in your life, and people that you're meeting, and books that you're reading, right, and probably seminars that you're going to, right, or just influences that you've got. that are leading you towards, 40 under 40 and 18 core behaviors and being the leader that you are today, right? So what are a few of those?
Yeah, there's many distinct people and life events that I've gone through and people that I've met along the way that for sure have shaped me into who I am.
What jumps out? What jumps out?
What's that?
What jumps out?
Yeah, so it's funny, so we'll go back to sort of like middle school age. So I told you I was raised by a single mother. My mom put me into Big Brothers Big Sisters at 10 years old. And I had a big brother named Frank in my life. And I give Frank a ton of credit for me being who I am today. That I wasn't, there were a lot of things in my life that were sort of like going in the wrong direction, and Frank was there at the right time to be that positive male role model for me, because not only did I not have the father figure in my life, but I literally grew up with just women. I had 3 older sisters, and then even my very small immediate family was my aunt, my girl cousin, and my grandmother. I mean, it was all women. So I was just this one, little dude swimming in a sea of estrogen. It was just insane. So, I always joke, like, in my house, it didn't matter what time of the month it was always that time of the month. Nobody cycle
he's
syncs.
so successful.
So
he was surrounded by all these amazing women.
There we go.
I imagine.
If you're listening, that's exactly what I should be saying.
I imagine that it'd be difficult to grow up in that environment without internalizing a degree of empathy and sensitivity that you wouldn't have if you were not in that environment.
Not for these women.
They were like dudes.
They sat on me. They verbally abused me. I mean, mind you, I was the youngest. Yeah.
Oh, really?
I would. Any day of the week, I'd rather have 3 older brothers. Now, I love my sisters to death, but they can get vicious.
Oh,
really?
Oh my gosh, yeah. And then
you
also,
say that now, though.
because I was the only man in the house, I always joke that I was mowing the lawn in diapers. Any manual labor. John get it. John will do it.
Right.
John will do it. I love them, and there's everybody has their story, and I think growing up with all those women in my life, certainly. Contributed to a net positive, and I wouldn't change it for the world. They're, great. And it's very cool that, these days I'm like formally known as Uncle John around town, because I have so many nieces and nephews, and friends of all their friends and all of that, and it's just really cool being that role growing up now. But so Frank was a huge influence. We still keep in touch on a limited basis to this day, but having him right time, right place to really guide me through that adolescence. And then I actually went off to military school. I wanted to be in the CIA. That was my big thing. Like, I, at 13, made the decision to go to military school. My mom just thought I was insane, but that was...
You went there for high school or college?
For high school.
Really?
Yeah, for high school.
Wow. You made that call.
I made that call because I wanted to go to military school and then go to West Point, then go into the service, and then go into the CIA.
Interesting.
That was my life plan. Well, I was a bit of a derelict in high school, and was partying and all sorts of stuff. So I ended up getting booted out of that school. Came back to Chagrin. They let me back into that school, but I hadn't given up my little act. The clown hadn't finished his act, so I got booted out again and came back to Chagrin, where I eventually graduated.
But let's put a pause right now. What do you get booted out of military school for?
For partying.
Is that right?
Yeah. Well, and this is the kind of school you got booted out of and not booted into. So it was, I mean,
it's an honor to be in this.
Yeah, it was a top 10 in the country, and it was full scholarship and all that. Awesome experience.
See, guys like us, right? We're really good at partying, but you know what we suck at is not getting caught.
Not getting in trouble. Yeah, I was really bad at that. I was really bad at that.
Yeah, I'm with you.
God had a plan.
So
I became a lawyer for that reason, and you became
you get yourself out of a jail.
Yeah,
that's a smart.
We helped channel.
I'm not sure anybody would ever hire me for what I really wanted to do in life, so I just had to hire myself. That's why I became an entrepreneur. But so I ended up, I came back to Chagrin, but it was a very transformative period in my life, and I ended up giving up that whole lifestyle. I mean, stopped partying, everything at 17 years old, and
can we pause again? I'm going to keep interrupting you.
Sure.
What was the was there a pivotal event that made you stop partying, like cold turkey?
Yeah, I mean, it just sort of had started to build up, and between getting booted out of school, school I really, really loved and worked really hard to get into, and then just the trouble on top of trouble on top of trouble, and then like one day it was enough, and again I give a lot of credit to God for putting people in my life at the right time who really helped steer me in a new direction, in a new way of life. And at that point, a lot of things in my life were very unknown, because I had this plan to be this legitimate plan to be in the CIA one day. I mean, I was trying to follow the framework, and that wasn't happening. Like, I wasn't going to West Point. They were going to take a twice booted kid from Chagrin Falls, and I'm like, what am I going to do?
By the way, I think John's in the CIA right now, and this is all a ruse.
Yeah.
Right?
But,
who would ever suspect?
I mean,
Watch out, Molly.
That's why I keep them close. Enemies close.
Right.
To make that decision at 17, that's huge. I mean, because that is the height of party time.
Right.
Yes.
Your next 5 years are the height of party time.
Yep.
That's a huge decision I just commend you. That's
very unusual.
Well,
great.
It's definitely unusual, and I wouldn't change the decision in the path for anything. I mean, but again, I really give the credit to the people in my life, who came to my life at the right time and showed me that there was a better way of life. And you know what? As a young guy starting out his career, because I ended up not going to college. I went right into my first job. It was really a summer job that turned into an incredible career. It was my secret advantage. I could outwork people. I remembered everything that was happening. I mean, I got to work quick, young, and put in the hours because I wasn't out at the bars or out at the clubs or any of that kind of stuff. And so by the time that my friends or peers were getting out of college, I was 3, 4, 5 years into my career already, and had really given it a lot of energy.
Well, before we leave age 17, right? I'm wondering, when you're it sounds like there was a bottom there, right? And that at some point around that bottom, you're making the decision that life is not for me. I'm going to go in a different direction. So I'm wondering, right? You've got a mom there that is always positive and entrepreneurial. What is she saying to you when you're at that bottom?
My mom was great at showing love no matter what I was going through.
Okay.
And tough love. I mean, she wasn't going to let me just slide on this, but she also was somebody who lets you fall down, scrape your knee, get some bruises, and then pull yourself back up. She's very much, sort of the American capitalist mentality of pull yourself up by your bootstraps.
Yeah.
But she was there to show, me the empathy, to show me the love, and to say, look, if you want to change your life, I'm here for you. And I'll support you. I'll support you in whatever. She's very, very, very supportive in that way.
Okay, so now you're working through when your friends are. So you never went to college, or you did?
No, I did. I took some post-secondary classes, during my senior year, and I got a summer job working for some family friends, and they sold big industrial printing presses. And it was just cold calling. I was making phone calls to generate leads for the salespeople, and 200, 250 phone calls a day, just jamming. And then my boss said, hey, why don't you go out and sell? So he fired the guy in Northeast Ohio who covered this territory, and just go out and sell. And I had never done that in my entire life, besides just pounding the phones, but I knew enough about the business by that point from just having so many conversations, I could at least go out there and fake it. And I did. I just hit the road, and the job just took off. Before I knew it, I was closing big deals, making a lot of money, started flying all over the country, all over the world. The experiences were awesome. I was making 6 figures before I was 20, and I just said, wow, this is great. And I knew I always eventually, at this point, I kind of made a decision. I had always wanted to own my own company, and knew I would be moving in that direction. And the sort of sales role that I had, I really managed my own P&L. I was managing my own business, really. I was responsible for helping coordinate installs and financing and the whole 9 yards for this stuff. And so, if the deal didn't get paid, I didn't get paid, kind of a thing. And eventually that led me to start my first business. But that job, and particularly that boss, really taught me sales. And as an entrepreneur, even if you're the crazy mad scientist in the back who's coming up with all the ideas, you still have to be a really great salesperson. You need to be able to persuade people to leave maybe a comfortable job and join your risky startup and whatever you're doing. You have to be able to speak with investors and convey why this is a smart and wise investment for them. all of that is sales at the end of the day. And and that job taught me that. I did that for about 4.5 years, almost 5 years, before I left and started my first company.
I can't even count to 6, let alone making 6 figures under 20.
Not sequentially anyway. Right.
We'll get there.
Can't do it.
We'll get there.
John, you're obviously really good at marketing and sales, and I want to deconstruct that a little bit. I want to unpack that because that's obviously not something that happens overnight either, right? Mm-hmm. So, and I may have asked this question in a different way a few seconds ago, but what are the things? So in a minute, the question is going to be, all right, break down the most important things about connecting with a customer, mm-hmm. or with an employee, or whoever you're trying to convince to do anything, right? But before I ask you that question, I'd like to know what lessons you learned along the way in order to answer that question. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Like what events happened? So now it's between that first job at the printing company where you're making these huge deals and hot cards, right? Mm-hmm. So what lessons are you learning along the way to know today, 30 years old, 30 years old? I thought I misheard that earlier. I thought I hallucinated. That you are I lost my train of thought.
Well, what did he gather along the way and put in his bag to be able to
know how to be as good at marketing and sales?
It's tough to say, and maybe I'll think of some life events or something like that have happened. But whether it's sales or marketing, which really at the end of the day are the same thing, it always boils down to playing to people's interests, and I mean that in the most positive way. That if you're when I first was out of high school and selling capital equipment, really understanding what it is that these people are looking for, what their pain points are, figure that stuff out as soon as possible, right. And then make sure that your solution is tailored around that. I mean, I definitely made a lot of mistakes trying to go into a place and say, hey, I've got this new whiz-bang widget, buy it, it's awesome, it could do all these great things, and the person's like, I don't need that, you don't hear me, I'm not in that business, I don't need that, I don't want to get into that. But like that stuff, I'm sure I lost a lot of deals doing that early on in my sales career. But when I really figured out how to actually sit down and listen to what people were looking for or identify the needs, and that requires sometimes talking to kind of pull it out of them, but a lot of listening. You figure out what that is, and then it's almost like they just buy it from you. I mean, if they're saying I need this, and you're saying, okay, I can fill this solution, I can fill this void, then it makes it really, really easy. And even with hot cards, being an e-commerce business, we had to identify that need and then start filling it. And really, it's about us just getting our message out to people, saying, hey, we exist. That's our biggest challenge, frankly, is saying we exist. We know that what we have to offer people fits the need of a wide demographic of people, and not everybody. So I'm not out there trying to sell hot cards to every single person out there, but I know that there's a wide demographic of people that can benefit from what we have, and we just have to get that message out there. Right. In marketing, my big philosophy on marketing really starts at the brand. I think that there's two aspects to marketing. There's brand marketing and technical marketing. So one of the things I really am focusing on doing a lot better at Hot Cards is the technical marketing side. We've built a really great brand, but we need to get it out there. So that's Google Ads and SEO and all that kind of like nitty gritty stuff that like gets that message in front of people. But on the brand side, my philosophy has always been build a brand that people want to do business with before they even know what you do. I can't tell you how many resumes we just get submitted to our like general email address at Hot Cards saying, I don't really understand or know what you guys do, but I want to work there. Because maybe they follow us on social media, or they've heard about us on some news article, or they saw us light 21 people on fire, or whatever it is. But they just like, I want to be a part of that. that's a big part of the culture too, is, we've built a very special culture that people want to be a part of. And the way we protect that culture is not letting everybody be part of it. Like, we got to make sure the right people we bring on board really fit it. But from a customer standpoint, from a partner standpoint, it's all about building this brand that people just instinctively, brand marketing is about instincts. You cannot say, I think, people should like this. Meaning, like, you can't just tell somebody, you should like this because I said so. You have to really just say, how are people going to instinctively react to things? That's why with social media and Instagram and everything's become very visual, because it's a very instinctive reaction. Like, that's a cool photo, double click, like. Everything is just very instinctive, and that's, we want our brand to feel that way to people. Just, you hear it and your gut just tells you, like, that's cool, I want to be a part of that. That's, Apple's mastered that, Nike's mastered that, a lot of great brands have mastered that. Microsoft, on the other hand, for a long time didn't master it. They're coming around. They really are.
Starting to.
But they had a solution that was just killer, and they were amazing at technical marketing, and they had a lot of cash and filled the market quickly. But Apple, on the other hand, didn't. They struggled for a long time, but they built a brand that, now, what they spend on marketing compared to Microsoft is night and day. And, like, compared to Samsung, what Apple spends on marketing the iPhone compared to what Samsung spends is literally, it's like 100x what Samsung has to spend to market their phones versus.
So all right. Apple. So break down Hot Cards into the brand marketing and the technical marketing, right? Mm-hmm. So the brand would be, we're Hot Cards. This is what kind of a company we are, right? This is who we are. The technical marketing then would be, this is what we do. This is what we sell. This is what the deliverable is. Do I have that right?
Yeah, in many ways you do.
Okay,
in many ways you do, because the brand marketing doesn't really speak to exactly what we do. Doesn't have to, because again, we're just trying to build this company, this culture, this brand that people just want to do business with regardless of what we do. We could be into cleaning toilets, we could be a restaurant, we could be whatever, but you just want to be a part of this. So a lot of that is the feeling you get when you hit our social media, or just if you were to just scroll our website and not even read a word on it, but just to look at it, you would just get this feeling of, that's who I wanted to be a part of, because I look at the photography and I look at the feel. Yeah. And then the technical marketing is really the execution of getting the message out. So again, a big thing for us being an e-commerce play is search engine marketing, Google ads. When somebody searches for business cards plus Cleveland, we want to be on the top of that Google result organically. We also want to have an ad up there, and there's only so much you can do to kind of put your brand in front of people in that particular marketing event. But when they click your ad or when they click your website, you want them to stick, versus clicking the back button and going somewhere else. So when they hit our page, not only do we have a great solution, very easy to navigate website, but again, you hit it and you're like, wow, this place looks cool. So put this side by side with Vistaprint or whoever the big corporate player is out there. You'd much rather do business with Hot Cards.
Let's make sure we beat that out at Vistaprint.
Yeah.
Just
print. Yeah.
Well, I will
replace
say,
with Hot Cards.
Right. When I started with the chamber, that was my philosophy. That was my goal, was to create events where people started talking about what's going on with the chamber. There's something new. It's looking different. And then we went from, I think, 350 to 500 members very quickly. But that was that buzz. That was that, what's going on over there? I'm always hearing about them. I'm seeing them. So that would be the technical, because we got it out there.
Well, getting it out there, right. Getting it out there was the technical. So all the little, events you planned, news articles you got, all that stuff was the technical side. But what you did, and Molly, I watched this, what you did from a brand perspective, that tour that you went on, you wanted to visit every single business in the area. You were just out there. You made the chamber look like something that was vibrant, happening, and something that you wanted to be a part of. So every time we finally saw whatever you were putting out into the world, what you were putting out looked attractive. It looked appealing.
Not me, folks. Don't get confused
everything.
With that.
The smile, everything you had, Molly, really, you drew people in with that just energy. Because you could still execute all those technical things, right? You could still do all the events. You could get all the news articles. You could put up all the Facebook posts and all that kind of stuff. But if what you were putting out there was drab, boring, negative, non-engaging, then you weren't going to attract the 150 members you just talked about.
So let's take advantage of John Gadd right now being in love with me for a minute.
It's a lifetime.
I'm just assuming that he will be in my car karaoke, even though he said he doesn't remember lyrics, which is part of his bio.
True story.
But my mission in 2017 is to use social media in a positive way and get people to laugh and smile at themselves instead of all this other crap that's going on social media. So I've got my logo ready, and we're going to hit the car. So one day when I pick you up, pick your song, and you and I are going to jam.
So I can remember the lyrics to any song as long as they're printed.
Okay, perfect.
All right,
perfect.
good.
Yeah, I see us
and more
doing
specifically, as long as they're printed on a hot cards paper.
Yeah, right,
Some
right.
kind
I
of
can't read the
duo,
Vistaprint stuff.
Right.
It's always grainy and blurry.
Blurry,
Yeah.
blurry. Yes. Although
that's
without,
outstanding.
they had an interesting marketing at the beginning, where they gave everything away for free.
Yeah.
How does one choose the idea of setting themselves on fire, much less 22 people in their company? How does that come about? Why? Was it successful? Were you mad at somebody? Walk us through that thought process, John.
It's a good.
Were there
good way of
22
leading.
people your enemies?
You would think
it
how does
dare?
one come up, with this, that, drugs would be the obvious answer, but I've already told you that's not part of the equation. So
I can think of
we were
which
still
drugs it
sober.
would be.
Yeah, when we thought about it. But so I was in South Africa on a mission trip with my pastor, who's from Chagrin Falls, and he loves marketing. His name's Mark Simone.
Yes,
I'm sure a lot of listeners know him. Great man. And we had this 15-hour. We're supposed to take this train from one city to the next, but it broke down or something happened. Anyhow, we had to take these buses, these vans, and he was driving, I was co-piloting, and we had 15 hours together, and he loves talking about marketing. So we're talking all about ways to market hot cards and things to do, and he said, you know what, John, there's this guy from Chagrin Falls named Ted Batchelor who's famous for lighting himself on fire and jumping into the river. And he's done this for like 30 years, and he goes out to Hollywood, does stunt work and all of that. And he had set a previous record with a group of people, with 17 people, for the most people on fire. And you get all suited up in this stuff, and then you get lit on fire. He's like, talk to Ted. Maybe he could do like a burn in your parking lot or something like that. Light himself on fire and try to grab. And by the end of the trip, we had decided we were going to light, 20 people on fire on a barge in the middle of downtown Cleveland. And we did all of that except for the barge, because we found out the barge was really expensive, and the Coast Guard had to get involved, and it was a whole mess. Right. So we decided we were going to break this record. So we emailed Ted from South Africa, and Ted's like, "Whoa, this sounds great." We're getting on a phone call, an international phone call, and we decided that's what we were going to do. And we were going to raise a bunch of money for charity, and we did. We ended up raising $5,000 for the food bank, and then $5,000 for a South African charity that Mark Simone founded many years ago. And we had 3 months to execute, and we came back to Cleveland and got after it. And I mean, Ted was a complete pro and did an amazing job keeping everybody safe and planning this. We got a bunch of celebrities and local businessmen and CEOs and people to be burners or to be igniters, and it just, even leading up to the burn, it caught a ton of publicity.
Yeah. Scene
magazine. We were doing a test burn in the parking lot at Hot Cards for the fire department. They wanted to see this whole thing, which, and they loved it. The fire department, they love this kind of stuff. They were all about it. And we crossed our T's and dotted our I's, so they were cool with it. But that made the front page of the Plain Dealer, because they'd stopped by and taken some pictures. And then we do the burn, the night of the burn, and international news. Crazy. I always had this it was so funny, I always had this bucket list that I wanted to trend on Google, something that I did trended on Google, and the burn trended on Google.
Wow.
21 people on fire in Cleveland. And it was on, Fox News, national, CNBC, MSNBC, Wall Street Journal, another front cover of the Plain Dealer. So we got 2 front covers of the Plain Dealer within 3 weeks. Everywhere. We had like Malaysian newspapers were picking it up and all this other stuff.
That's crazy.
It was just, I mean, if you think about 21 people on fire, makes a pretty good headline.
Yeah.
Well, and do you know if the so you said it was $5,000 to the food bank and $5,000 to
Brick Company, an organization called Brick by Brick, a nonprofit in South Africa.
So did they get any of the benefit of that extra publicity?
For sure. I mean, we still have, we saved all the video clips of, like, the news anchors on Fox News saying, money going to benefit the Cleveland Food Bank and Brick by Brick organization.
Right.
And we put logos out there and all that stuff so people could go and visit those charities.
And do you feel like that was the launch of your business, like that? And did you capitalize? And there's one thing to do crazy stunts like that, but if you can't capitalize and take advantage of all that, then it's kind of wasted money.
Yeah, so one of the things that preceded this whole event was that I acquired Hot Cards in 2012, and it was a turnaround. So the company needed a lot of help. And a lot of people really didn't even know if we were alive anymore. And so we had to do something big to tell the world that not only were we alive, but we were stronger and better than ever. And so that for sure happened. It was very clear that Hot Cards was alive and well when we did this event. But our website traffic just flooded and grew. And it's so funny because here we are, again, talking about it today, but there hasn't been a day that's gone by since that I don't think we've brought it up in some way or another. I mean, it just literally comes up every day. And again, because it caught so much attention, it gave Hot Cards a great name in the community. And we have a lot of name recognition because of it now, so it makes it a lot easier to walk into places and say,
get the good table.
You're the people that lit yourself on fire and all that stuff. Yeah.
And to go full circle with he and I, my husband was in that class of Ted, close to the class of Ted, and Ted originally lit himself on fire and jumped off the Chagrin Falls to raise money to get prom money.
Right.
Is that right?
And
wow.
he bet his friends in the class that, and I believe my husband was maybe even part of getting him out of jail. So he collected money because he knew he was going to get in trouble.
Yep.
And he collected money on a bet, and I think he got to go to prom.
That's a great story.
That is.
That's documentary after my pumpkin roll's coming.
I can't wait to see it.
Yes, it's
that's
being edited right now.
Yeah,
but
wait.
I think that's gonna be the second one. That's gonna be my follow up. The lighting on the fire and jumping.
I think
falls.
you should. Yeah, that would be.
Because a lot of people jump the falls.
Yeah.
Not on fire.
Not on fire though.
Not on fire.
Is that true? A lot of people jump the falls?
Yeah.
Really?
My husband wants to do it. I told him that we are for better, for worse. I mean, those are our vows. But it doesn't say for stupidity. So I will not be wiping his butt or his drool because he's in a wheelchair for the rest of his life because he jumped off the falls.
I mean, just
saying that up front, just put it out.
Oh, he knows perfectly well. The life insurance is not high enough.
Not to encourage any of the kids at home to jump over the falls.
They do it during graduation.
So it would seem like if you knew how deep it was,
it's
right?
very deep in the middle.
And you knew not to go off to the side where the rocks are.
Right.
You should be all right.
You have to go to the rock that's the furthest out.
And then
Did
leave.
you jump?
No, I have never jumped, but there's a strategy to it.
Yeah. But you have to be very careful because those rocks are very slippery.
Right.
So to get out there, what would have been a great jump would be last week or something when all the rain and it was just. Oh man!
You got to choose your moment.
You just flew over there.
Yeah, or that'd be extremely dangerous. Probably
right.
not the right conditions to
I'm
jump.
into danger.
Presumably, there is an ordinance in Chagrin Falls that prohibits.
Correct.
falls
Oh,
jumping,
absolutely.
right?
You will be arrested. There's no yes. If you're caught, and if you two dummies do it,
folks,
we know you'll be caught.
Ryan Sears from the Gertzberg Law Firm practices criminal defense, so feel free. Should
From
you,
our sponsor.
we wouldn't encourage you to jump the falls, but if you do and you get arrested, that's who you want to call. Ryan's very good.
Ryan Sears.
Ryan
Sears.
Yes. Good to know.
Specializing in falls jumping. No, that's not true.
He could make a whole business out of it here.
Yeah, absolutely.
I know.
Yeah.
That's what Lowe's did for the pumpkin roll, Lowe's Greenhouse.
What we ought to
sold
do-
Insurance.
No kidding.
Pumpkin insurance. If your pumpkin
Genius.
is stolen, you could go back to Lowe's and get another pumpkin.
See,
You buy pumpkin.
I was thinking the thing to do would be to have Ryan jump the falls, right? But
there you go.
to raise money for the We Solve Problems essay contest, and then to raise awareness that falls jumping is illegal. But if you get arrested for it, Ryan's available.
Nice.
And he can speak from a position of experience.
That's right.
Wow.
So let me ask you this, right? So I remember a few years ago I read this book called The 21 Immutable Laws of Marketing, right? And I was struck, and still am, whenever I read anything about like the psychological connections that are created by, companies who draw you into their stores, right? What I always marvel at or wonder more than anything, though, is how you convert those into sales, right? I don't know if you know yourself, right? But I'm guessing that you employ some kind of psychology, right? When you have a creative idea, right? Whether it's any of those that I just mentioned, or like the most basic one. This isn't really a question. This is more of a comment, right? The most basic, right, is humans are drawn towards pleasure and away from fear, away from pain, right? You go towards pleasure, away from pain, right? If you know that, you can tap into that.
Pleasure monkey theory.
Yeah, my pleasure. Humans are pleasure monkeys. That's right. At its core, I think marketing really exploits that, right? It really builds on that concept in that book, 21 Different Ways or whatever. But converting it into sales is always the big trick, right? So now you've gotten people to click because you've employed these psychological techniques, right? And now they're there. How do you get them to buy, right? Is that a marketing thing anymore, or is that at that point you're letting go of the reins and you're saying, all right, company, you're on your own? What do you think?
It's still that, yes, the marketing, the brand, the psychology has to carry all the way through the process. And being in the technology business, being in the e-commerce business, every step of that customer journey has to have that same hot cards feel. So a big part of our brand is that energy, are these promises that we make to people, that we're going to be incredibly fast on our turnaround. We call, instead of our customer service team, we call it our customer obsession team. So we got to deliver. Awesome. So, okay, there's, again, back to marketing and branding and the promises. We make an error or there's an issue with something, the website, the print job, the final piece, they get it and there's some issue with it. We deliver on that customer obsession when they call us. We pick up the phone right away. We don't have a big call system that routes you to a million different people. We take you right to a human. We're exceptionally fast at replying to emails. We're right on live chat so that you can get a response right away. So that whole brand, that whole set of promises you make to your customers before they even buy has to be then followed up on all the way throughout the process. And that's something we work very, very hard on, just as hard on, if not harder, than the whole upfront strategy, which is just getting people to love us and fall in love with our brand.
Because the first sale is easy. It's the second sale and the third sale that you want.
Correct. And I'm proud to say we have customers who've been with us for over 10 years, even before I purchased a company, and we've been able to keep those customers and grow those customer relationships. And that's been a very cool thing to see too, is where we have somebody who started out as a $20 business card customer who now does $500,000 a year in revenue with us. We have those kinds of examples, and that's, again, just because we continue to fulfill and follow up on that promise.
So let me spit back what you just said. Let me paraphrase, because I think this is a really important point, right? You can't use marketing to sell a turd, right? Your marketing wraps around your business philosophy, the way you operate, the way your people feel about coming to work, and the business processes that they use to sell your product.
I disagree. I think with brilliant marketing, you could sell a turd.
Yeah, you could
not
sell
consistently.
A turd, you just won't sell two.
Yeah, right. And that's
the same person.
That's what I meant. That's what I meant,
gotcha.
right? Yeah, I think the point is you have to have a good product and good people and good processes, right? And you wrap your marketing around those as opposed to, your company around your marketing. Right?
It's a must. It's a must. People always say, well, they talk about, is your quality, special? Or no, our quality is great, just like so many of our competitors.
Right.
You just have to have a good product in today's society. I mean, there's too many options, and you have access to too many options. The internet has done that. I don't care what your product is. If it's just sitting at this table, it's computers, it's coasters, it's glasses, it's phones. you have options, a lot of options. So if you don't have a good quality product, then you're dead in the water, period. So it's a given. It's not even a unique advantage of ours that we have beautiful printing and high quality printing. It's a lot of our competitors do. So what's unique about Hot Cards is the customer experience, the ordering experience. It's so crazy simple and fast compared to most of our competitors. And then if there is an issue, man, we are insane and fanatical about following up and fixing the problem. And a lot of times that costs money to do, and we're not afraid to spend it if we have to, because we want to maintain that reputation. We want to keep that customer for life. And, you know, to follow on that, again, the stakes are really high today. Social media has made it so easy for people to go out there and just decimate your reputation with a couple of keystrokes. And so if you aren't obsessive about your customer service, your follow-up, fixing issues, etc., then you're going to be, you know, they'll destroy you on social media really quickly.
And it is true. I mean, mistakes happen. I think as humans, we all realize that. Well, some of us do. It is that point forward,
right,
on how you fix it. I'm going to remember you going over and beyond more than I am that my name was misspelled.
Exactly.
I mean, and some companies do not get that. Yep. Because they don't want to spend that extra money it's going to take to reprint those cards or whatever the case may be. But that's, I mean, how you treat them, we're all going to see problems or we're all going to see mistakes, but it's that point forward, that next step of what you do that could make a lifetime customer.
It's true. My business partner is in the automotive business, and their tagline is, the company's called Bernie Moreno Companies, and their tagline is above and beyond comes standard. And I love that because, you know, car is a car. You know, there are big lines, Mercedes and Infiniti, and there's a lot of Mercedes and Infiniti dealers out there, and you can buy cars from all over the place. But that incredible level of service that his companies provide is above and beyond any of the competitors out there, and that's what keeps people coming back like crazy to that company. And the stories I hear, I mean, they're just insane. You know, there was a customer who, you know, arguably had a bad vacuuming job or something like that, and their car is a very expensive car, $100,000 plus car, and they lived in Pittsburgh, and they had driven all the way to Pittsburgh. You know, the service guys drove all the way to Pittsburgh, picked up the car, brought it back, gave it a full-on detail, and then brought it back out there, and that customer raves and raves and raves. And, you know, they get all sorts of stories all the time about, you know, the great service. And if you look at their ratings, in the auto business, it's called CSI scores. So that's what you get, a little app that you have to fill out, or just a feedback form after you get your car serviced, or if you buy a new car. Their CSI scores are always not just above average, but like light years above average from the industry. They have, you know, this sort of, they rate them on greens and reds, and they say most dealership groups should have half of their dealerships should be above red, should be green. But it's okay, it's acceptable to have them be half of them to be red. This guy, if one of his dealerships is red, it's like that's going to end soon, or there's going to be big changes. And they're continuously green.
That's a new partner for you.
Right.
Recently.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, about a little over a year ago.
And how is that going?
Been awesome. I mean, just been an amazing experience. Not only to be, you know, working with Bernie on a daily basis, but just to be exposed to that culture, to be exposed to his management style. I mean, this is a guy who came to Cleveland 11 years ago and bought a business that it was one location, selling maybe 100 cars or so per year. And now that, you know, same one location sells thousands of cars per year, you know, and has grown the company from, you know, 50, 60, 70 people to almost 800 people in less than 10 years. And done it all with service, above and beyond service, in a brand and a culture that, you know, sticks behind that all day, every day.
In the restaurant world, I think that's why the Burntwood taverns are growing and being able to thrive. I think they do a great job on that customer service. And making the problem right.
Well, and yeah, I mean,
and Jekyll's.
I think it's like the Hilton chain, right? I think if I've got this right, Conrad Hilton empowers every single employee down to the janitor, right, to comp any guest who didn't love their stay there, right? If I've got that right.
I have heard that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Or even our Cleveland Cavaliers.
Yeah.
For Dan Gilbert to give every person down to the janitor, that makes your staff respect you and then be excited to be present in that position, no matter if you're cleaning the bathrooms or if you're a CEO of the Cavs. You are part of that team.
What does he give them?
He gave them all a ring.
Oh, did he?
Yes,
Yeah,
on his own dollar.
Millions of dollars worth of, even the Airmark employees who were not actually Cavs employees but show up to work every single game. The beer guy got a ring. Everybody got a ring.
Now, you don't think that your retention is going to be beautiful in your staff, or that's respect, or that they're going to be bragging about their boss?
Right.
You know, I mean, it's easy to own a business. I think I don't own a business, but it's easy to own a business. But it's that staff that is the hard part, and it's like you were saying, it's example. It's you leading that staff by example.
Yeah.
Because that, like you said, you said it with you being that first time that you don't smile, but you get 3 people out of your 20 who aren't smiling, you're bringing, that whole level goes down then.
Well, I think that there's a cross section between that example and how I feel about marketing in general, which is that at the end of the day, and actually I would broaden this thought to beyond just succeeding in business, right? I think that at the end of the day, what you really want is to tap into what people feel, right, on an emotional level, right? And in that example, it's feeling great about your job and feeling a sense of loyalty and knowing that your boss appreciates you, right?
And there's a certain amount of that you can, as it relates to onboarding the right team members, the right employees, there's a certain amount of that you can instill in people and train in people and help them get that sort of emotional awareness, that emotional maturity. But when you're building a team, 9 times out of 10, it's either the people have it or they don't. You can do things to foster it and improve it, but really either people have it or they don't. And that's why it's so critical to determine, make that part of your culture right out of the gates, and then stick to it. Stick to your guns when you're making those hires.
You can't teach attitude.
Well, but to your point, Molly, I mean, if you keep, you made a good one too. Mad props. The best book I ever read, still to this day, is The Success Principles by Jack Canfield. You should listen to that one. Right? Did you ever read that?
I haven't read it. No.
Oh my God, life changing for me. Basically, what he took was he took 69 success principles, right, as the name would imply. Each one gets its own chapter, and he basically takes lessons from Bill Gates and Steve Jobs and all these amazing business leaders, but also psychologists and religious people and presidents, political whatever, and distills what makes all of these people successful into these 69 principles. And the very first one, chapter 1, is decide your attitude, choose your attitude, right? It's very stoic. It's very, you can choose to be depressed about something, right? You can choose to not see things as a failure, but as a learning experience. You can choose how you're going to approach your day. And that is the longest chapter in the book, because he takes all of these different leaders and hugely successful people, and all of them are saying the same thing, right? I made a choice.
And somebody said, I'm not quite sure who, that when obstacles come your way, present it as if you've chosen that obstacle.
Yeah.
And then now you're in control.
Right.
You know what? Yeah. All right, we need to go to lightning round.
I know, but before we go to the lightning round, you're a meditator.
I am. Yep.
Yeah. So I'm a meditator too. I want to know what your meditation practice is about.
Yeah, it's every day, first thing I do in the morning is I get up, and I very much have a very strong relationship with God. Very much believe that He's given me the life that I have today, and we talked a little about gratitude, and I'm very grateful for all of that. And so the first thing I do in the morning is I really work hard to try to connect with God and to start my day off on that footing. And so, it starts with prayer and being grateful for certainly life He's given me, but also praying for people in my life that maybe need some help right now. And then just asking Him to guide my will. Let me do His will today. And then I try to sit silently and to reflect on that. I'm really big on affirmations as well, which is something that I've done over the past couple of years that I had not been doing really up until that point, and I love it. If I don't say those affirmations in the morning, I just feel off. And those affirmations span all aspects of my life. Certainly career, my family, my relationships, all that stuff. Every day I'm just repeating the things that I really want to achieve in life. And then recently, I've been doing this thing called Headspace, which is sort of been added on top of my thing, and I love it. I mean, I actually said no to Headspace for a long time because I'm like, I don't need an app. I got enough technology and apps in my life. Like the one time I want to be app free is when I'm doing prayer and meditation in the morning. But I've added on. It's 10 minutes and it's awesome. It's a guided meditation that you just download on your iPhone and you go through once a day, and I'll do that a lot of times in the middle of the day too. I'll just go carve out some time upstairs in our building, and I'll go do that for maybe 10 minutes. But I do it in the morning too when I can, because I love it so much. It just really gets me settled. If I'm too tired in the morning though, and I'm really trying to get moving, I can't sit and stop for that long and go through a Headspace because I'll probably pass out. And I read. I read every morning. Oftentimes I don't have a lot of time to read a lot because I've already carved out a lot of time for the prayer and the meditation and all of that. But I'll get a little chunk of a book done, and I usually get through that book maybe once a month. I'm trying to get through like one book a month for my morning reading. And then I'm off. But that's a good 30 to 45 minutes. First thing in the morning.
It's a great routine.
And I wake up. I have to. I feel really off if I don't do it. And so I wake up early, to get that done and make sure that there's nothing conflicting in my day, because if I get up late, the emails start coming in, the text messages start coming in. I mean, I get my first phone calls around 5:45, 6 o'clock in the morning, so I got to have all that stuff out of the way before that.
So what time do you wake up?
I'm 4:30. 4:30 every day.
Well, don't text me or anything.
No, I won't. Remember, that's the whole point. I get up for those.
Until 9 o'clock.
I will tell you this, because we have 1 million listeners at home, hanging on every word.
1,000,001. You've got my mouth.
That's right. Thank you, Mrs. Gadd.
Yeah.
Yes.
I've been meditating for about 6 years now, and that was the single most impactful thing in my entire life. That's ever
meditation.
Totally changed the way I think and the way I act, the way I talk. Right, more so than any other, except maybe having kids. Right. So, all right, John, lightning round questions.
Sure.
You ready? All right. Biggest success in your life?
We don't have to say kids.
That's right. We usually have to carve out. Everyone says my kids.
Yeah, I don't have that. I think biggest success is when I decided to give up that old partying in life, drinking, all that stuff. It allowed me to show up and be there for the people in my life, and that includes my mom, my sisters, my nieces, nephews. I mean, it just a lot of people around me to really, really be present for that. I think that is probably what I would still consider my biggest success, and I think because it's such a fundamental aspect of my life, will be my biggest success till the day I die.
Excellent. Biggest failure, defining failure any way you want it. Lesson learned, challenge, overcome, whatever.
Yeah, my biggest failure. I don't really have a specific event because I don't classify failure as you lost a deal or a business failed or something like that. I love that Winston Churchill saying that success is being able to go from failure to failure without losing enthusiasm. Right. And I will say, but when I fail, it's when I'm unable to go from failure to failure without enthusiasm. Right. And that, I'm a human being. I'm not perfect. That happens. And sometimes it's in a big way. Sometimes it's in a little way. Maybe I said the wrong thing to somebody that I really shouldn't have said. I should have just bit my tongue. Maybe I didn't handle a situation the right way. when that kind of, because I know the difference between right and wrong, and I know the kind of person I'm trying to be, and when I compromise on that, that to me, that's my biggest failure. When I'm not consistent in really being the person I'm trying to be, that's my biggest failure.
Do you ever have limiting beliefs, self-limiting beliefs?
They can, yes. Again, not perfect at all, and I think they're fewer and far between than I think they were, maybe as a kid growing up. But I really try to snap out of it really quickly. Again, they're few and far between. I think my mom did a great job, like literally making me believe I could do anything I wanted. It was a big just part of her philosophy and the way she raised me as a kid, and her style of love was you literally could be anything you want to be. So it's just a matter of whether or not I'm choosing to go after that goal or I'm going after another goal. But they can happen, but I try to snap out of it quickly.
And then finally, because you answered
I have two in replace of that now.
Oh, you do? Okay, you go.
Yeah.
We still
so
have the
my question always is connecting. I'm a firm believer. My mother, also my dad died when I was very young, so she was a single mom with 4 of us. And when you were at 32, when you were talking there, I almost teared up because I just lost her. A lot of similarities between your mom and my mom. Just, you had to do it. She had to do it. There was no choice.
Right.
You have 4 little babies to feed. She had to do it. So I'm in this podcast. My question is always: did your mother influence you? Did you have a female influence? Because I am a firm believer that people who grew up with a very strong mother are successful people. It's just my philosophy. But you already answered that for me. So here's my 2
I got the strong mother part. We'll see about the rest. Time will tell.
I think I got 3 pages here telling me yes.
Hold on, I think you're covering your microphone. I don't know how long. Yeah.
Do you drive a Mercedes?
I don't drive a Mercedes.
Okay.
But I can tell you the next car I purchase, if I don't purchase it from Bernie, then we may not be such good friends anymore.
Gotcha. And then, are you single?
I'm not single.
Okay. Not available, folks. Not available.
Sorry, all you over 40-year-old women who are
cougars. They call those cougars.
All right, the last lightning round question, John, is what is something embarrassing that's happened to you that nobody else knows about?
And you expect me to reveal that here?
Yes,
to
actually.
The 1,000,001 people
exactly
listening
right
now? Oh my gosh.
Mrs. Gadd, would you call in, please?
Yes.
I'm sure she's got all sorts of stuff that would classify.
And pictures, please.
But I'm really not trying to withhold. Like I just don't have anything like that special. Like I remember. They're all.
Well,
yeah.
Here's what I'll tell you. If we can't come up with one now, that's perfectly fine. But we do have to ask anyone who knows John to text us or email us with any embarrassing stories, which probably isn't fair to you.
No, you'll probably come up with some really good stuff.
Are you cool with that? Can we do that?
Totally cool with that.
My niece did graduate with John. I could maybe give her a call. But I don't know if you were close.
But she probably, there's some things to hear about. Yeah.
See, one of these days,
that's for sure.
One of these days, we're gonna go through that exercise and dig out some really deep, nasty stuff about our guests.
It's gonna be terrible.
They're gonna be angry with us. All right. Well,
John Gadd, thank you so much you're a busy man, and for you to take an hour and a half out of your day to join us is pretty awesome. So thank you. Thank you so much.
It was great talking to you. I would venture to say this was the best podcast we did today.
Well, I've written notes
all day.
All day long.
Notes. I've never written notes on
one for one.
I didn't even know you could write.
Nice
job, Molly.
I can write, I just can't read.
Whatever. I get those confused. All right. Good podcast. Thanks, John.
Thanks, Alex. Appreciate it.
Thank you, my
nice
dear.
Job, Molly. All right.
Peace out. Go be amazing.
Thank you, everyone.